Hi, everybody. I'm back on my YouTube channel and I'm hoping that you're having a great day. I'm choosing today to show a game for teachers that hopefully they can use in their classroom rather than doing the typical laboratories and things that I share with my students on my YouTube channel. So, this game is called the Flyswatter game. And I'm using it to help my students who have to learn STEM vocabulary. So I'm going to explain how we did that. I got this particular activity from the Professional Development Service for Teachers, which is out of Dublin, Ireland. They have a number of things that they use in classrooms with teachers, and I found this to be very helpful. The actual game, when I searched for it, was the Flyswatter game. So if you look online, you will probably find this or some type of derivation of this particular game. And I found it to be very useful. They do have some alternative rules that you can go with synonyms and things like that. And I'll explain how I used it in my classroom with my students. I currently teach Project Lead the Way, which is a STEM program that is used throughout the United States. It's out of Indianapolis. That's where the headquarters are. It actually started originally as a high school program, and then they've added a middle school program for grades 6 through 8, and most recently they've added an elementary program for grades 3 through 5. But it's all STEM based. It's very laboratory based. But what my students still struggle with, a number of them, is they struggle with understanding the terminology, even though it's a lab based program and they use the terms throughout their class. They still have to understand that to be able to move on. So I found that by using this Flyswatter game, that my students found it to be very helpful so that they could understand the terms that we were using in class. I have to create for Flight and Space. That's the current program that I'm using. My students had to know certain things, like as you can see here, Newton's laws are on here. And there's also terminology that planes do. Here's my little plane down here in the corner, and then there's drag, lift, roll, yaw, etc. And these are terminologies that pilots have to understand. So for my students to understand, it was a little tricky. We've done videos, we've worked with models, and we've done lots of examples in class. So when I get ready to do the game, I put the words on cardstock, as you can see here, and then I made them fairly large and I laminated them. Then I put magnets on the back and I put them onto my whiteboard. I will tell you that I have some students in my class, ESL students who have recently moved here to the United States. So I gave them a study guide in both English and Spanish so that they could compare the words, but they asked to play the game in English. If I would do it in Spanish, I would put both words, English and Spanish, on the cards, but they said they wanted to do it in English to see if they would understand it. So this is what we did for today, or most recently for this game. Then once we have it, I divided my students up into lab groups. They're used to lab groups. So some people do teams, some people don't do it like that, but I chose to do it like that. And then they could coach each other on the terminology. So for example, I might give an example of Newton's law, or I might give one of the Newton's laws, quote, definitions. And then I would say go, and the five representatives would run to the board, and they would click on or push their fly swatter onto the word that it matches. Now I will say this: you have to make sure that your students understand that you are not playing whack-a-mole for the day. We made sure we went over the rules about what's appropriate behavior with the fly swatters before we started this, because I did not want to have any problems going forward. So once we did that, in the next screen, you can see this is an example of some students who were at the board, part of the teams who had come forward. And they do run to the board. They want to play this game and they run to the board and they do that. I found the game to be very useful, very practical for them. And they thought it was very helpful for them to get ready for a quiz so that they would understand their quiz coming up within the next few weeks. And because I gave so many examples, this game, even though I didn't have a lot of vocabulary words, this game actually lasted a 45-minute period. And it was time to go, and the kids were really surprised. But it's because I not only provided examples, multiple examples, I provided definitions, things like that. So the students understood that by the time we got through it all, they understood it pretty well. And I gave examples from things we did in class from a lab, or I gave us examples from maybe a video sequence that we had watched. So the students had something to kind of hang their information on. And I think they found it very helpful. A number of students felt like it was really prepared them well for the next part of our labs, but also for an upcoming quiz for them to be ready. So I hope you found this helpful. Hopefully you can use it in your classrooms. I know there are a number of ESL teachers that play the Flyswatter game in their classrooms, that probably a derivation on that. But for me, for science, with the terminology, I found it to be really helpful for my students. But you could do it for all grade levels, elementary all the way through high school, and I think you'll find it to be a helpful game. So hopefully that was helpful for you, and enjoy the rest of your day.